This is Eric from Vanguard Motorsports, and today we're going to be fixing a transmission leak on this 1995 BMW 325i. Well, you can look all you want, but you're not going to find a transmission dipstick anywhere in this engine compartment. For some reason, BMW decided to not do that. It's done a different way, and as we go into this project, I will show you how to do it. Okay, I have already diagnosed this transmission leak. It's dripping out of the transmission shift shaft seal. Well, that's one tongue twister. I got one for you. Try saying this phrase 5 times real fast. She shall sit by my side in the sunshine. Anyways, there's my joke for this video. Step 1 is to raise the vehicle into the air. Now, since I haven't got a car lift, I'm going to use my floor jack. What I'm going to do is connect my jack right onto this cross member. It's behind the rack and pinion. I'm going to use some wood between the jack pad and this frame to not damage it. Let's go ahead and lift the car up. So here you can see how I got the jack situated. I got a piece of plywood between the frame and the jack, and it's also centered on that frame. Very important. Now let me say a few words about safety. You'll want to use jack stands in addition to your floor jack to keep this thing up in the air so it doesn't fall off and kill you. This here is a ratcheting jack stand, which means that I can grab it and raise it and it stays put. To lower it, lift the lever up and it falls to the ground. Here is a picture of our transmission, and if you look closely I can show you where this shift shaft seal is at. If you look at the center screen, you can see a nut and a bracket, and there is a drop of transmission fluid puddling up. Well, the top of that bracket is another nut, and that nut connects to our shift shaft, which goes into the transmission case where we have that shift shaft seal. I can't even say it. Shift shaft seal. So that's where it's at.
Let's make that 16 bolts, not 15. Okay, this fluid came out pretty dirty, so I'm going to also replace that filter. Filter is right there, the big black thing. It's got a few bolts holding it on. I'm going to replace this gasket. This thing is pretty old. Probably original for all I know.
It's going to involve removing that cross brace, dropping the exhaust system, removing this transmission cross member, and I may have to unhook the drive shaft. It's a lot of work. As seen on TV, this is stuff that you spray on rusty bolts, and it helps them come off a lot easier. While the exhaust bolts soak, I'm going to take off this cross piece, followed by this exhaust hanger. Whenever you're pulling off exhaust manifold bolts or any kind of exhaust piece, the bolts and nuts are usually rusty. And so when doing those parts, always use a 6-point socket. And right here in my hand is a 6-point socket. It's got 6 flats. And this here is a 12-point. This guy has a better chance of getting that nut off without stripping it out. That was easy. Surprising. There we go. So to pull the exhaust off, you have to unbolt 2 3-bolt flanges. There's 2 pipes on there. The first 3 came off really easy. The next 3, one of them did not want to come off, and I wasn't going to force it and snap it off, so I broke out my acetylene torch, got the nut red hot, and it came right out. With a little scrubbing, with a wire brush, and a chemical called mineral spirits, this transmission pan is cleaned up and ready for use. Also, don't forget to put this magnet back in the pan. Since we're on the topic of transmission oil pans, let's cover a couple things. This tranny has 2 plugs in it. There's one down here in the bottom and one here in the side. The one right here, this is how you drain the transmission fluid. Simply pull it out, the fluid comes out. This one right here is used to check your transmission fluid level. Again, these guys don't have a measuring dipstick like most cars do. So if this tranny has a proper amount of fluid, it'll be right at this level with the car in park idling. Well, as you can see, I've got the exhaust system unbolted. There's the 2 pipes that connect to the exhaust manifolds. So now I'm going to remove that transmission cross member. But before I do that, I'm going to reinstall this transmission pan so I have something to jack onto. But before I put the pan back on, I'm going to replace this transmission filter. Before you tilt the motor back, be sure and take this plate off. It might get damaged. Drive shaft bolts are out. Once that's done, you can take a pry bar and just push this thing backwards, and you can disengage the drive shaft from the transmission yoke. So I did that, but the transmission's not dropping enough. Gonna see how much of a drop I've got. I still can't get this tool in to remove that seal. The tool that I'm going to use to remove this seal goes into here, and I have to lower this thing down to get the tool in there. You can see from this angle, this is my lower frame rail right here, and the transmission is still too high, so I've got to figure out some way of lowering this some more. Well, my next plan of attack to lower this drive line is going to be loosening up these bolts on the cross member, or it could be called an engine cradle or a subframe. So this job has gotten a lot bigger than I planned, but we'll finish it. since these jack stands are on the subframe or engine cradle, I'm going to have to relocate those to a different part of the chassis, and then I can lower it. There we go. Now let's break loose these 4 cross member bolts. 2 of them right there. I bet those bolts are on tight, so I'm going to break out my 1/2-inch impact wrench. Well, this thing is starting to piss me off. I've taken out all 4 of these cross member bolts, and it lowered it, but still not enough to get this tool in there. So I got one more chance. I'm going to try to take out this passenger side motor mount bolt and try and twist this whole drive line that way. Right there is that nut I'm going to take off. That's in the passenger side motor mount. Okay, there you can see I've got this motor mount above the bolt, and I've cocked the drive line toward the passenger side. I have a jack resting on the engine supporting it. And if I put a little pressure on this transmission, I have just enough space to get that tool in there. So finally we've got some good news in this project. Here is the tool that we're going to use to pull that seal out. I bought it at Napa. It's made by Evercraft, part number 7769250. And it says that it's for a GM transmission. But did you know that the automatic transmission in this BMW is actually manufactured by GM and not BMW? Okay, I'm gonna test fit this tool, and this thing fits on there even without leveraging that transmission toward the passenger side. That's good for me. I'm going to try and get this breaker bar in here and see if I can force it in there without a hammer. God damn. There it is. Son of a bitch. Yeah.